everyone, Josh Merhar here, and today we are going to talk about some advanced Blushda applications. We're going to work with a 5-beat variation of your standard Blushda, and we're going to work it into a couple different grooves and fills. In case you don't know, Blushdas are a hybrid rudiment. They're essentially a flam accent, not a Swiss triplet, with a diddle on the middle beat. For this video, I'm only going to be using left-hand lead Blushdas, so that sticking is going to be left-hand flam, which means right-hand grace note. So flam, right, right, left. Flam, right, right, left. But I mentioned focusing on a 5-beat variation. So to turn the Blushda, which is usually a 3-beat pattern, into a 5-beat pattern, I'm just going to add another right, left in front of the Blushda. So that sticking all together will be right, left, flam, right, right, left. Right, left, flam, right, right, left. And I'm basically accenting everything except for the little diddle in the middle. You've probably heard drummers use Blushdas all around the drums before, so big wide flams between like the toms and the snare, or maybe kick, cymbal, and snare. They could add a lot of flair to your grooves too. But before we even contextualize this pattern, let's just play through a bunch of different orchestrations to give ourselves some voicing options. Okay, now that we have a few different ways of moving this pattern around the drums, let's work it into something functional. This little chop has become one of my favorite things to use in a sort of triplet or shuffle feel. If I'm playing a halftime shuffle, so my backbeat is on count 3, I could toss in this lick just after the backbeat, and it works as a nice subtle fill that doesn't really get in the way of the groove, and it doesn't really feel like too much. For demonstration, I'll use the fill at the end of every 2 measures. For now, my right hand will stay on just the hi-hats, and my left hand will stay on just the snare drum, very slowly at first. Notice how I don't hit the hi-hats the same time I hit the snare drum on beat 3 right before I go into the fill. Dropping that one hit on the hi-hats there gives me an extra split second to kind of prepare myself for the fill. Also make sure to keep that flam between the hi-hats and the snare drum on beat 4 super wide. That'll help this pattern sit real deep in the pocket. So let's try it a little bit faster. And now up to speed.
We could also orchestrate the pattern a little bit differently to kind of make this fill stand out a little bit more.
I'll run through a few different orchestrations to show you exactly what I mean. So that's a nice triplety, groove-oriented option to have at the ready, but let's try to work this pattern into more of a 16th note fill setting. Now we are going to try to fill one full measure of 16th notes. Since we need to fill 16 spaces, we could use our 5-beat pattern 3 times, and then we'll just have 1 space left over. For the sake of demonstration, we will use the bass drum to fill out that extra hit, and we'll start by putting it at the very end of the measure. So we'll play that 5-beat pattern 3 times, stomp that kick on the very last 16th note, and then call it a day. Let's move that extra kick around within the measure. Now we'll place that kick between the 2nd and 3rd repetition of that 5-beat phrase. And now between the 1st and 2nd phrase. And now, right at the very beginning of the measure. I wasn't really thinking of specific orchestrations while demonstrating these patterns, but the transcriptions will have everything notated exactly as played in the video. Of course, there are countless other possibilities in terms of phrasing and orchestration, but it's up to you to discover them on your own. If you like what you saw in this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Your support grants you access to accompanying transcriptions and a bunch of other practice material meant to supplement your study. And you'll have the ability to vote on future lesson topics, so I can make sure that I'm making videos that you want to watch. As always, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.